Hi, and welcome to my shop. In this video, we're going to make a storage cabinet for this Jessem Router Table that I recently purchased on Facebook Marketplace. The original owner did have these casters, but I found it made the table too high, so I removed them and added these casters. I also added the switch. So let's start with the build. I was going to incorporate dust collection within the design of the cabinet, but I thought it just might be easier to get the dust right. Router table dust bucket from Rockler. So we'll start with that. With the dust bucket installed, we can now proceed with the design and build of the under router table cabinet. With the way this is now, I don't really be able to put one drawer, so I think there's a lot of wasted space here. So I think I'm going to take these brackets and move them down to here. Not sure why the original owner put them here. Might have to get a little bit creative with these casters, but it's doable. So then I'll take it all apart and do that so that I could at least put two drawers instead of one. A large drawer and a smaller drawer. So I guess I'll do that now. I've lowered the cross members of the Jessem stand to the lower position. So now I'm just ready to take some measurements. I'll start with the side pieces. It's going to go in here. Check. Basically, it'll need a little bit more than 2 3/4 inch plywood, so I'll probably just mill something to the exact thickness that I need with some rough lumber. So the side inner dimension is 19 1/8. And height say 31.5. 31.5. So I'll start by getting those two pieces in, and from there I'll take other measurements. So I'll start with that. Here's the board with the spacers installed. As mentioned, I planed them down to a thickness that will make this just a little bit proud of this, so the drawer slides won't hit the metal. Just painted the tops black to blend with the frame, and it did pre-finish this, so I don't have to do it after. So now we'll just dry fit it inside, and then so I can measure the shelf that'll go here, and then we'll have to drill holes to permanently attach this. Just put it in there temporarily, and then I'll be able to measure here. It's roughly around 23 inches, so I'll cut that piece next. So here it is with the center piece. Loosely fit, just leaving about a 1/2 inch gap from the dust bucket to the shelf. So this will be roughly 14.5 inches. And then this distance here, about 11.5. Now for these drawers, they're not going to be very wide. Probably use 1/2 inch stock there. So that's just going to be left with just under 4 inches on that side. About 4 on this side. So then I'll plan that out So I think to make this part easier, I'll probably remove the top so I can get in from the top. So we'll work on that next. So I've cut all the plywood pieces. The bottom, I put a groove in here just for a little added strength. And the sides also. So this going like this, and then you'll have one shelf here for a drawer, and then another one here. So I'll proceed to assemble all this now. So I have these two prepared. Next is to glue them in place here. So I'll do that in the next step. Here's the glue up for the upper portion. On each side will be two small drawers, and then below it two larger drawers. We'll just wait for this glue to set. I permanently installed the sides with screws. As mentioned before, I did pre-drill the metal first and then installed the panels and screwed them in with these screws. This is what it looks like with the sides permanently attached. I did mention I was going to remove the top, but with the panels, the screws are no longer accessible, so I'll have to do everything with the top on. Before this assembly, I meant to drill pocket holes for this bottom shelf to attach to the cabinet. Now that it's assembled, I can't use the K4 jig, so I'll need to use this smaller crate jig. So I've cut some strips of maple just to add some banding on the edges of the plywood. So we'll do that now. Here it is with the edge banding applied. I also sanded it and applied 3 coats of poly. Next step is to dry fit it in the router table. Here it is installed in the router table stand. In order to line up the screws from the outside, I'm just going to make some marks here. I'll do the same in the back. This will allow me, say, to drill some holes so I can know exactly where to put the screws from the outside. With the cabinet reinstalled in the stand, now I'm going to attach the screws. I'm using these trim head screws, number 8, 1.5 inch. I'm going to pre-drill a pilot hole to not split the plywood. Now with the upper portion installed, I can take measurements for the drawers. Here I have 23 1/8. We'll be using drawer slides here, so I have to account for that. So minus 1 inch for that. So it'll be 22 1/8 width. Here we have 14 3/4. Plan on doing 2 drawers, one larger, one smaller here. Now for the upper drawers, here we have 5 inches and 5 3/8. Same on that side. The width is 4. These I'm just going to make drawers that just slide in to not lose space with drawer slides. So now we can go and cut the wood for that. For the smaller drawers, on one side I'm going to make trays for router bits. One being for 1/4 inch bits and one for 1/2 inch router bits. So I've cut these pieces for that. So now I'm just going to lay out the grid for the router bits. So I think basically 1 1/4 inch spacing, and I'll do 2 rows and maybe another row in the middle. So we'll just start from the edge, 1.5 inches. And then this is around 1 1/4. So next we'll go to the drill press to drill the holes. I have the drill press fence set to about 1 1/4 inches, so each hole will be aligned. And then the depth just below the thickness of the 3/4 inch. So we'll start drilling there. There's the holes. Like I say, I'll probably do something in the middle offset, but with the fence setting, I'll just change the 1/4 inch bit to the 1/2 inch bit for the other board. So now I have the 1/2 inch forcer bit installed. We'll drill those holes. So here's all the 1/2 inch holes. Now I'll set the fence to go in the middle. It's 4 inches, so it'll be 2 inches. So I've adjusted the fence to be in the middle, and we'll start drilling those holes. Here's all the 1/2 inch holes drilled. This plywood's not the best quality. Veneer is very thin. Hopefully it'll be okay. If not, I'll redo this with hardwood in the future. I'll change back to the 1/4 inch forcer bit, and I'll do the center holes on this piece. All the holes drilled for the 1/4 inch bits. To assemble these, I'm just going to use pocket holes, so I'll drill those now. Though not necessary with pocket hole joinery, I'm going to add a little bit of glue. I'm using clamps just to hold the pieces together, because with pocket screws it tends to want to move a little bit. Here we go, the 2 trays all set. After this, I'll finish them, and then once they're installed, I'll measure 4 drawer fronts. For the 2 top small drawers, I started the assembly by cutting 3/4 inch plywood for the bottom and for the front and back. Because they're really small, I'm just going to use 1/4 inch plywood for the sides. So I'll now assemble that. Using some small brad nails. So I've cut all the pieces for the two bottom drawers. The smaller one, I've already done the groove using the table saw. I'm going to do the same for the bottom larger drawer. So I've set this to be a distance of the thickness I want it to be, which is half the 3/4 inch. And then after that first cut, then I'll move the fence out to route the rest of it. So let's get to that. So here's the groove cut for the panel. For the assembly of the drawers, there are many options. I could just glue and nail, could glue and screw, could use pocket holes, which was my previous preferred method, or in this case, like I did for my workbench build, I could have used the Festool domino. If you're interested in that method, I have a separate video, which I'll add to the link. The bottom drawer boxes are now assembled, and I've cut the bottom panels to size. So now we'll glue them down and a few brad nails. Now just wait for the glue to dry, then it'll be sanding and then putting the poly. Next step is to install the drawer slice for the two bottom drawers. I've added this piece to use as a spacer. I want it flush with the plywood. Now it's time to store the first drawer. I put a piece of 3/4 inch plywood below just to raise the drawer above the frame. Now we'll install a second drawer, again with a 3/4 inch spacing between the bottom drawer and the top drawer. Now here's the drawers installed. Now we just need to make some drawer fronts, so we'll do that measurement next. So width-wise, between 3 1/8. And for the bottom drawer, 9 1/4. The 5 3/4. And fronts for these guys. Five 3/4. Five 1/2. With about 4 3/8. you can see. Okay, so we'll get those fronts cut now. I prepared all the drawer fronts. Here I made recessed finger pulls. If you're interested in how I did this, I have another video. I'll add the link to the description. So we'll do the bottom drawer. I just have 1/8 piece of plywood at the bottom, just to give it spacing. Just center it. Add these clamps. Works just fine. We'll screw it with these cabinet screws, number 8, 1 1/4 inch. Here's the completed storage cabinet with the drawer fronts installed. On this side, I have router bit storage for 1/4 inch bits. Below that, for 1/2 inch bits. On the other side, 2 small drawers. We'll be storing anything router or router table related. Then we have the 2 larger drawers. Drawer 1 and the second bottom drawer, just a little bit deeper. Here I'm storing the router wrench with a strong magnet. Below is the Dust-Right dust bucket with easy access to the router. On this side, I've added hanging storage for a lot of the router and router table accessories, easy access. And then at the other end, I've added 2 Rockler router bit storage racks. So now I'll have plenty of storage for router bits. So this concludes this video of the cabinet build for this Jessem router table. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.